All right, Boris. So welcome to today's training on Ultravation. And again, Joe is muted in the background over at Meyer Supply, but we're just going to catch you guys up on basically everything IAQ and UV right now. Just a quick background on me. Obviously, I'm the manufacturer's rep for the Northeast here with Sales Management Solutions. I've been training on this product line for a while now, so we're going to have some good fun here today. It's been very busy. A lot of people are trying to catch up on this knowledge, so I'm happy to train you guys as well. So real quick, obviously I'm going to get into defining the proper definitions of IAQ and what this relates to in HVAC. We're going to define, there's a lot of terminology being thrown around right now, so we really want to make sure people understand what UVC means versus UVGI. And this is according to ASHRAE recommendations for the industry. So we're completely aligned there. And then I'm going to get into a couple of the products from Ultravation that directly align with this to make sure everybody's on the same page, and it helps you know what to offer. And you're not going to get too confused. So as a quick refresher, we always ask the contractor or anybody looking at UV or indoor air quality, we say, listen, you have to look at the when, where, and why. And we're obviously, the three main components of IAQ is filtration, UV disinfection, and then obviously UV air purification. And in the upper right-hand corner here, this is just an image. I'm going to show you guys this later, but this is an example of an ionization device that we also put out there to help improve filtration. That's one of the best practices using ionization technology. And then in the big diagram here, we show you using filtration coming from a return, and then we have UV lamps on a coil, and then obviously the air purification, the in-duct solution for your air supply. And again, I'll show you some of these products later so you understand how they all apply. And again, this is a residential application, but we're also going to go over some of the commercial components as well. So to get this part out of the way, a lot of the definitions are out there right now. So we're going to talk about UVGI, PCO, and ionization. So UVGI, and I'll expand more on this. If you look at the ASHRAE handbook for HVAC, UVGI refers to the technology that you're putting into the system. So if I'm putting UV equipment into an HVAC system, whether it's residential or commercial, as long as I'm using a UVC class lamp, which is the wavelength of UV light, then what you're actually doing is you're applying UVGI technology into an HVAC system. That's why, and we'll expand on that, but that's why people get confused, like, oh, UV in general. I said, no, there's actually definitions from the CDC and the ASHRAE where they specifically call out that you need to be using UVC light. And then obviously once you install it in an HVAC system, now you're using UVGI technology. PCO, that definition is photocatalytic oxidation. Try saying that a lot. Basically, this is what happens when you apply a catalyst product, meaning there's basically something called titanium dioxide. So titanium dioxide, once you have that on a metal surface or on some of the higher end products we have, if UV light shines onto the titanium dioxide, it creates a reaction, which is called photocatalytic oxidation. And actually, I'm actually going to show you a video real quick explaining that a lot better. And basically, you'll see why this is important for a technology, especially on the residential front. So stand by. I'm going to switch the screen share over, and I'm going to show you that video. All right. And we're switching over. And this is going to be just briefly explaining what photocatalytic oxidation does.
Here's how it works. The UV Photomex Advanced Oxidation Module is coated with an exclusive titanium dioxide formulation. When UV light is applied to the surface, the titanium dioxide coating becomes energized, causing it to release electrons. The electrons then combine with oxygen to create what are known as superoxides. The titanium dioxide then collects replacement electrons from moisture in the air to become charged particles known as hydroxyl radicals. Together with the superoxides, a powerful photocatalytic oxidation, or PCO field, is created. As odors, germs, mold, and other VOC organic molecules approach the PCO field, they are disassembled as the oxidizers pull electrons from them. The purification process is completed, with the remaining molecules recombining to form simple water vapor and trace amounts of carbon dioxide. Ultravation's advanced oxidation process.
So that is a very brief explanation of what's happening. So long story short, if you ever hear people talk about UV and their concerns with ozone is a byproduct of what happens with UV and photocatalytic oxidation. So for example, and I'm going to switch back to the presentation here. So if I was just putting a UV light in, I'm not going to have to worry about an ozone-y byproduct of ozone smell. It kind of smells like a medical office, right? Some people are, very rarely, but some people are sensitive to that. And that's fine. We do have some more advanced products that do not produce ozone at all. We have carbon that helps with that. In this example, though, that's how you can create a even stronger effect inside of an air supply, because besides having just UV lamps, per that video, if you have products that have the PCO photocatalytic oxidation upgrade on there, you're actually creating an invisible field around the device. So as the air is passing by, it's also helping break down all these odors and other components like car exhaust and even cooking odors. It doesn't matter. So it's just an added benefit, especially in a residential application. And later I'll show you a couple of products that uses that level of technology, just to help you guys understand that as well. So now besides that, the other thing we wanted to define here was ionization. This is becoming more and more popular in the past couple of years. There are some people who are so sensitive to the ozone smell. It's a very, very small part of the population that they say, hey, I don't want to do UV at all. I said, okay. So we have what's called ionization. Ionization, long story short, it's electrically charging the molecules in the air. So they literally figured out how to replicate a lightning bolt going across the sky. Is basically creates an electronically charged field. So it basically, we have a device, an ion generator, that actually creates the ionization. So it negatively and positively charges the dirt molecules in the air and helps them stick together. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, that actually helps the filter catch more particulates because they get a little bit bigger. It's easier to get caught in the filter. And I have a very brief video on that, no audio, but I'll talk you through it. But that helps, at least guys, you can see what ionization does. So we're going to switch over to that now as well. Stand by. And here's the animation on what ionization is doing. So that's the ion generator here at the bottom. It's charging up negative and positive ions, and it's helping bacteria and viruses and allergens basically bond together. It's also breaking them down too, mind you, just like very similar to photocatalytic oxidation as well. So it is actually helping break down these airborne particulates, but it's also helping them bind together. And per this video, that's helping us then also help the filter do a better job in trapping that. So granted, we make high-end filtration as well. But even if somebody already had a cheap 1-inch or 3-inch filter in there, it's still going to help those filters do a better job. So that's one of the other benefits of ionization. And this is obviously no UV at all involved in this product. This is purely just positive and negative ions, helping things stick together, help that filter do a better job. So that's ionization. Now we have products that I'm going to show you here today. One of our top recommendations for residential that actually combines all of that technology. It combines UV, it combines PCO, and it combines ionization. So that's gonna be one of our top recommended products I'll show you in a little bit. So one thing I like to align here is with the ASHRAE, right? We talk a lot about making sure we're following the guidelines. This image on this slide is taken directly out of chapter 62 of the ASHRAE handbook. So that's help you guys understand that we take this very seriously. We're aligning with the standards. And in the ASHRAE handbook, they'll clearly tell you, you should be looking at solutions that address surface area and airstream. So even in their little diagrams here, they're showing you how UV can be put near coils. It could be put in the airstream. And those are the two major areas that we're discussing today. And that's what's called out in the ASHRAE handbook as well. And again, we have links to all of this on our website at smsteam.co. that actually directly takes you to the articles that ASHRAE has published, CDC, the Center for Disease Control has published. So we're keeping everything aligned to make sure you have everything easily found in case you ever have a customer that wants to see this level of detail. Most often they're not. They're going to trust you as the professional and and let you do your job. So another big clarification is there's all different kinds of UV light. So there's UV light that comes from the sun. There's UV light that comes from tanning beds and tanning salons. They're not all created equal. There's different wavelengths. So if you were installing UV in an HVAC system, it needs to be the UVC class of light, not UVA, not UVB. And this is, again, the CDC says this and the ASHRAE says this. They understand that the UVC light spectrum is the most dangerous, meaning the most powerful to break things down. So that's why all the bulbs that we provide in our products are a UVC class bulb. So UVC, and this is all defined here, but long story short, it's the strongest, most potent section of the UV light spectrum. It is considered the most dangerous. That's why you do not want to look at these bulbs when they're lit up. So as a contractor, you want to make sure it's turned off when you're working on it. And but the biggest reason why is because it's so strong. When things are passing by in the airstream, or if you have these bulbs installed right at the coil, you're helping render these live components lifeless. It's breaking them down at the DNA level. So, and that's also why I love this diagram in the center here, the purple sphere, because this is an example of proximity to the bulb. So at the very center is your bulb, and then they're giving you an example and they call it microwatts, right? That's the intensity of the bulb. And they give you an example of how as you move further away from the bulb, it's going to get less potent. So this is why when we give you these applications for commercial or residential, if you are addressing surface area, it's very, very important that you mount these bulbs within a close proximity of the coil. If you try and mount a bulb 2 feet away from a coil surface, you're not going to get much benefit out of it. So that's why with our, for example, Boris, you guys have gotten some quotes on our SI series, the big racks of bulbs for a commercial coil. That's why when you go to install them, they're really close to the coil surface, because you want to really make sure as much of that surface area cannot have anything growing on it. So that's another important reminder about UVC. And a reminder, when you install these UVC class bulbs in a system, now you're actually applying what's called UVGI technology. And that's the point of this slide. So whether I'm taking a UVC lamp, which is again part of the UV spectrum, but then I'm applying UVGI technology when I'm taking that UVC lamp and I'm installing it in an HVAC application. So the best way to explain it is this: if I'm taking a UVC lamp and I'm putting it on a coil, then I can say that I'm applying UVGI technology on the coil. If I'm installing a product with UVC lamps in the airstream for the air supply for an added benefit, well, then I'm applying UVGI technology in the airstream. And so on and so forth. If I'm doing an upper room application, which I'll show you guys that later, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just a quick refresher of why we are clarifying those two terms, because UVC refers to the lamp and the bulb. UVGI is the technology that you're putting in place when you're involving those bulbs in an HVAC system. So a lot of people have never even heard of UVGI before, but this is clearly spelled out in the ASHRAE handbook. Now, I also find it very important to help teach you guys about our T3 bulbs. All of our commercial racks of bulbs are our T3 class bulb. Why do I clarify this? Not all bulbs are created the same. That is our patented bulb design. So we still have some residential products that are non-T3 bulbs, meaning it's a standard UVC class bulb, but we found a way to create a stronger bulb. We figured out we could take the regular UV bulb and we added a casing around it. So there's a quartz sleeve around the bulb, and then there's a gas layer between the quartz sleeve and the bulb. Why? Well, because especially in the summertime, if you have a UVC lamp, burning 24/7 in a commercial or a residential application, and it's not insulated like this design, well, then the bulb can never truly hit its maximum potency because you constantly have cold air going past a bulb that's trying to warm up and stay lit up and stay strong. So we figured out if we can insulate the bulb, and it'll actually reach a maximum potency. So after our testing years ago, we created the T3 design. That's this graph here on the bottom right. A standard UV bulb, you might get a maximum of 70 to 80% out of that. But if you can insulate it like our T3 design, well, now I can get that up to 100% potency because it's not being affected by the cold air. It's not being affected by hot air, right? That has that insulation layer. It's also, so we figured out that we can get 40% more energy and efficiency out of a UVC bulb just by doing this design. So as I clarified, all of our commercial systems, T3 is standard. We don't bother with the entry-level UV. They get the best bulb. And a lot of the products I'm going to show you here today residentially, also we recommend the T3 bulb in those designs as well. So this is another advantage of working with Ultravation. Not everybody has this because that's our patented design. And the other beautiful thing about a T3 bulb is because it's stronger, we also can actually truly get you a 2-year life out of the bulb. Mm-hmm. So other UV, including our entry-level stuff, every bulb, whether it's our bulb or somebody else's bulb, they can say, hey, you have a 2-year guarantee on that bulb. But what most people don't understand is it's only guaranteed to light up for 2 years, for functionality. But as far as effectiveness, basic UV lamps, you've already burned through 40, 50% of its potency in the first year of operation because these are burning 24/7. So a regular UV lamp, even though it's guaranteed for 2 years, you actually should be changing them every single year, unless you're using this T3 lamp. If you're using our T3 lamp, you can get a 2-year life cycle out of this lamp. So because it is 40% stronger. So entry-level UV bulbs or our advanced T3 bulbs, they all have a 2-year warranty. But if you're not installing a T3 bulb, you should be changing those bulbs annually because you're not going to have the full potency of the bulb after 1 year of life cycle. So the way we explain it is a regular non-T3 bulb has a 9,000 hour life cycle, which is, if you do the math, that's 1 year of operation. And then our T3 bulbs have an 18,000 hour operation, which is, if you do the math, that's 2 years of a bulb burning 24/7 every single day. So that's just a clarification on bulb technology. So this is actually a great slide here, Boris. I love this. This actually helps people really wrap their head around UV. So per the ASHRAE guidelines, we talk about surface area and airstream. So this graph represents, from the very bottom here, these are surface area contaminants like bacteria, fungus, fungi, etc. And as you climb up the chart, you get up to more airborne-based concerns like influenza, ecovirus. So these are all airborne spores, airborne viruses up top here. These are basic bacteria at the bottom. So this graph comes off of our commercial side of our training because at the bottom here, you'll notice that in blue, we call out the UV Matrix SI, which we just quoted for you guys. That's for the coil service. And then we mention in the green our UV Matrix AS, and the AS stands for airstream. Why do we clarify this? Because great, if I just care about coil surface and I'm just trying to make sure nothing's going to grow and I'm going to keep these coils clean, then I can just go with a coil application and I'm taking care of all this. But if you're truly trying to get maximum disinfection and maximum efficiency with your UVGI technologies that you're putting in here, then you really also need to apply an airstream application as well, especially if you are trying to address these more airborne viruses and spore components. So great, I could start at the coil, but if I care about airborne viruses, I really need to be looking at an airstream application as well. And I'm going to clarify this later in the commercial side, but I love to call this out because that's why we tell people, and you're going to see this with our residential products. I tell people, yes, it's great to put a nice high-end system in your supply, but if you're not addressing the coil, you're missing part of the game plan. You should be looking at coil application and airstream application to really address everything. So that being clarified. So here's a quick little overview. We're going to get into the residential stuff now. Obviously, Ultravation, they go from start to finish. You want to deal with filtration, If you want to deal with ionization, that's what this Orion, that's the ion generator. We even have UVC class technology for mini splits and ductless. So that's big for residential or commercial, because ductless are everywhere now. Again, that's our T3 bulbs that we put into our higher end solutions. And then I'm going to show you this Solaris system here shortly. This is our high end residential solution that's really, it's very popular right now. But again, all of these products help you deal with everything from large particulates all the way down to the micro and very, very small things that we simply just cannot see. Microscopic level components. That's why UV is so important. All right. So first off, entry level. This is our throwaway product. This is literally the cost of a traditional UV bulb. So we were the first company to come out with this a couple of years ago. Meyer Supply, they stock these normally. It's our Advantage product. It's simply, I can rip this thing out every single year and throw a whole new one, brand new warranty every single time. You can get them in 12-inch or 17-inch lengths. Again, it's designed to be more of a throwaway versus just swapping out a bulb every time. And again, these are more often applied at the coil. Some people do add like sometimes 2 or 3 of these. If they didn't buy a higher end system, they'll just buy a couple of these, maybe put one in the Airstream as well with a carbon module add-on. But again, the best application for this is right over the coil. I can still add on a carbon module above that, and to get some of that PCO we talked about, that photocatalytic oxidation. This will help with odors and other airborne particulates as well. So again, this is designed, we can get this in a regular non-T3 version or a T3 version. So you can get a 1-year life or a 2-year life option. This is something that really Meyer Supply started with from the beginning. So again, entry level, simple, effective, it works. Now, as I hinted, this is the Solaris. This is what one of our top recommended residential solutions right now, because one of the advantages of our products, and I'll show you a comparison with our competitors, is the one thing I love to jump to right away is our notable options here. Our Solaris, when you wire this up and you install this in the supply, you only have to wire one thing. You wire up this power head for the Solaris unit. But the advantage of our higher end solutions like this is we also give you the ability to add on a coil lamp. So with one install, I wire the Solaris, and then all I have to do is take a Y-jack accessory that comes with our add-on lamps that you can buy. And now I can put a lamp at the coil and just plug it into the Solaris. The Solaris will power itself, and it will power an add-on coil lamp. Because as I said, we want to be addressing coil as well as Airstream at the same time. That's really the best application. That's why in this image here, we show you there's a Solaris installed on the supply, but really we want to make sure after the filtration, we're still keeping that coil clean, so nothing is going to be growing on that. So the other big advantage of this thing is this is a lifetime warranty product. It has our T3 UV lamp in it, so it's got the best UV. But we also added in ionization. So all that new ionization technology, we also have that inside of this device as well. So you have UV plus ionization. And because of the metal screens on here, we're also doing the photocatalytic oxidation as well. So you have all the bells and whistles in one device. So I've got my UVGI technology, I've got my ionization, I got my PCO. This is everything. So this is our top recommended residential product. Now, granted, because there's no carbon on this device, we still have that potential of an ozone byproduct from the PCO. So if you have that one rare customer that might have a sensitivity to ozone, just be mindful of that. The one other advantage of this device, though, is that it is adjustable. When you take this power head off, after you've installed it, there's actually a slide arm inside there. This has a special dual band bulb in there where we can actually adjust the amount of UV being emitted and the amount of PCO being created. And it's the rating on there is based on either CFMs or square footage. So I can easily tweak this up to 5,000 square feet of treatment down to as little as 500 square feet of treatment. So you can scale this and make it adjustable, and you might be able to remove that ozony smell problem if that person's not too sensitive, and you'll be fine. You won't have to worry about it being a non-ozone product. But we do have another version of this that doesn't have the ionization in it, and it's all carbon. So there's 3 huge strips of carbon on it. That's our other product called the Catalyst. I have that installed in my house. And it doesn't have the ionization, but I have a completely zero ozone product. So I still have all the photocatalytic oxidation. I still have the best UV. I can still add on my coil lamp bulbs. So it's just you either go zero ozone or this version. Now, here's what I was going to get to in the comparison. Right now in the market, the top, I guess, competitors, usually it's us, RGF, who makes the Remy Halo, and APCO is another popular one. And I'm going to switch over a screen share so you can see a little bit better image here. I'm going to blow this one up here. But I love just helping people understand how things are different and how we actually exceed everybody's technologies. So here is our Solaris. There is the APCO device, which has one strip of carbon and some metal surfaces added on. And then here on the right is the Remy Halo. So the one thing I like to call out right away is there's different terminology out there. Some are called active PCO, some are called passive PCO. If you don't have carbon as a material installed in the device, then you're active PCO. So Remy Halo and the Solaris here, these are active PCO. Whereas the APCO, because they have carbon, they can say this is a passive PCO device, meaning thanks to that having carbon on it, it will be zero ozone. And as I said, we do have another version of this that is zero ozone. So we have a passive PCO option as well. But the one thing I love to really show out here is that we're exceeding everybody's technology with our Solaris. Because of the dual band bulb, we have bipolar ionization. We have a lot more surface area creating the PCO. So we actually have, what you can't see on our design is that long rectangle of metal has 4 sides, but it's actually 2 layers deep. So there's one full wrap of metal around and then a second full wrap of metal around. And all of that metal surface area has the titanium dioxide on it. So we're creating a lot more PCO, a lot more disinfection for the airstream than everybody else. I mean, specifically, we call it out right here. Our surface area has 200 square inches of treatment that's being activated by the UV bulb. And the Remy Halo on the far right is the most comparable. They only have 26. So there's a big difference on surface area. We have a lot more reaction going on. We have a much better built product. For example, because all of our stuff is made and manufactured in Vermont, everything is a better quality. All of our products here is stainless steel and aluminum. Like the Remy Halo is plastic and aluminum. Again, our PCO is stronger than everybody else's. The adjustability is big. Like I said, you can adjust our range, a 4-inch window of adjustment. The APCO doesn't even have an adjustment. And then the Remy Halo only has a 2 inches of adjustment. And another big clarifier here is our adjustments never blocks the ability and the technology. So everything is still happening like it's supposed to. But unfortunately, the Remy Halo, in order to adjust their device, they're actually restricting the ability to create some of the UV disinfection. You do not want to restrict that. So again, another reason why the Solaris is quite superior. As I hinted, we have the ionization included in our device. So we actually have a lot more ionization going on in there too, because again, if I go down here, we have 4 electrodes in there creating the ionization, whereas the APCO doesn't have ionization. And then they do have some ionization in the Remy Halo, but there's only 2 electrodes. We have twice as much ionization happening. Another big advantage, because ours is a lifetime warranty product, APCO does make a lifetime warranty product at the bottom, but our most comparable competitor, Remy Halo, is not lifetime warranty. It's only got a 2-year warranty on the PCO module, and then they have a 5-year on the ballast itself. And then they have no warranty on, this is coming from their paperwork, there's no warranty on the parts that are outsourced on the design. I don't know what that means. I don't care. Ours is lifetime warranty, done. Don't worry about it. If there's ever a problem with that Solaris, all you do is you just take the power head off, we ship you a new power head box, and you plug it on, you're done. There's nothing else to fail inside the rest of the design, so you don't have to rip it out of the ductwork and redo your install. And again, as I hinted earlier in the last slides, we are the only one out of these 3 that you can add on that coil lamp. So that's a big time and cost savings for you residentially, because again, I'm going to plug and install the Solaris, wire it up, And then if I want to add on that coil lamp, which I should be doing, I just plug that right into the Solaris. I'm done. I don't have to worry about wiring up 2 different devices. So that's another big win from a labor savings, cost savings. It's just a much better design. So we're pretty proud of what we've accomplished here. All right, so switching back to the presentation. As I hinted, I don't know how much ductless you guys do now, Boris, but this is a massive market. There's so much ductless installations out there, residentially and commercially. I've lost count, and it keeps expanding. I don't think it's ever going to slow down. And so we've always had our own universal UV kit for that. It's just one kit. That's it. You can use both bulbs, or you can only use one bulb if you want. We give the option to plug 1 or 2 in. It's auto power sensing. You don't have to worry about who installed that ductless head and what power it's running at. Our device will automatically pick what it needs. All you got to do is tap in, wire it up. And then when people install this, they either put these bulbs right up behind the coil inside the head. Sometimes they'll shine them down onto the blower wheel. Every manufacturer is a little bit different. The whole advantage here is that really there's no upgrades for a ductless system. This is the one thing you should be doing, because if you don't clean the ductless head, which you should be cleaning them too, please clean the ductless heads. Please have a service contract. But the one downfall of a ductless head is there's no true proper filtration. So you really need to be putting something in there to keep that head clean in between your services. So these things become science experiments. I've seen some pretty bad, filthy ductless heads, especially restaurants, places that work with yeast, like pizzerias, bars that have beer, the yeast from the beer. Man, stuff can really grow inside these heads. So we highly recommend that people do have these on a cleaning contract, and then you would change these bulbs annually if you have this kit installed on the ductless head. So this is a very popular product for us as well, and I know Meyer Supply also stocks that. This is the Orion that I mentioned. So this is our standalone ion generator. People use this, separate. Again, this technology is already integrated into that Solaris unit. But if people just want to add on an Orion, they can use these in residential or commercial. I know people commercially are using these on PTAC units, ice machines, as well as obviously standard residential. So again, because there's no UV technology, there's never a concern about ozone being emitted. So, and our ion generator versus some of the competition out there, once again, is stronger than everybody else's. We probably have at least 3 times more ionization being generated out of this. And we give you the ability to mount it inside the equipment or outside the equipment. So if they don't have enough space inside their equipment, all you have to do is drill 2 small holes for the electrodes, and these electrodes will flip down. So we make it adjustable. So you could flip these over, and you could plug this right through a ductwork and just plug it right in. So very effective, very nice design. We get a lot of rave reviews on that as well. As I hinted, I know we're talking a lot about UV today, but don't forget about proper filtration. Again, we're a complete IAQ company. We make everything from the straight through boxes to full-blown support boxes for furnaces. We make the right angles as well. All of our filtration is high-end MERV 11, MERV 13 class filters. We do not have the pressure drop problems that other people do, because we give you 32 feet of pleated filter inside of them. So because we have way more surface area, we don't have the pressure drops, because we don't have to weave the filters as tight, because we're giving you more surface area inside the filter. So guys really have had a lot of wake up calls for system designs, because they realize, wow, I can give you a better filter and not run into the pressure drop problems. So a lot of people do not like HEPA filters. They love our filters because they can still get a MERV 11 or a MERV 13 class purification step added into the system, because now you're able to stop things as small as literally airborne gases like auto emissions. It's pretty impressive what our filters can do. So I always remind people, please also have a proper filtration solution, not just the UV. And then this will wrap you right up to where we were starting our conversation, Boris. So here's all of our commercial solutions. Everything from the SI series in the upper left is very popular for the coils, to the AS on the right, that is your Airstream application. We have a 4X series of the Matrix, which is, so this is, they call it 4X because that casing is a NEMA 4X rated enclosure. It's waterproof, it's heavy duty. That's popular in case people need to mount something on a rooftop. They don't have enough space to get inside the equipment. So great, I can cut a couple of holes, get those UV bulbs in, and still be addressing coils and airstream, etc. And then this is something new that a lot of people don't know about, the upper room. I'm going to show this to you guys in a little bit. The upper room is actually something very popular over in Europe and other countries. And now it's getting popular here because there's no motors, there's no fans or anything in this. The upper room is popular and it's called out in the ASHRAE handbook for big wide open spaces. So like a huge cafeteria or a big common area inside of a commercial space, or for example, a big lobby, and they're trying to get additional air disinfection in those spaces besides traditional ducted. This is what's being added. People add these upper room boxes in, and I'll show you in a slide here a little bit what that does. So real quick, let's just go through this. We remind you again, there's that graph from earlier. Again, we're addressing everything from bacteria up to airborne viruses. So we always want to have you, the contractor, asking the question to your customer, what do we want to solve for? Are we solving just for the surface level? Are we also solving for airstream application in the ductwork? And again, if you're trying to address all of these possibilities, then yes, you should be looking at both. So here's your SI. That's what we quoted you guys. Again, you're dealing with bio-growth on the coil. This is going to help with allergies in those properties. It's definitely, we have a more efficient design. Our competitors do not design nice racks like this. You notice how we try and keep the power and the electrical off to the far side. We don't want to have too many things blocking the airstream. And then as far as the SI design, it comes down to, we sent you two different scenarios, Boris, because if people want to get maximum disinfection in a contained area, we will add more bulbs in if needed. So this, for example, has 4 bulbs. Well, we may want to have 6 bulbs. We also can adjust the placement. Some people are fine having a 20-inch gap, between the bulbs. I know from the engineer's design, he prefers to have an 18-inch or less space between the bulb spacing. So we can move these around in our designs to make sure you're getting maximum potency on that coil application. So this is all options available to you guys. And then again, this could be dealing with surface area contact, but also since the air is blowing through the equipment, you are gaining some airstream disinfection as well because the UV is shining 24/7. Again, here's the 4X that I talked about. This is, again, more of a waterproof outdoor enclosure. I don't have the space inside of my equipment to put a full apparatus, so maybe I just want to add in a bunch of these so I can still get the UV inside the system or inside the ductwork, and I don't have to worry about any kind of issues with my electronic components outside the equipment. So again, whether it's inside the equipment or outside the equipment or on our airstream, you notice we're always trying to keep all the technology as far as the wiring, the controls, and everything out of the way. So this is our airstream design to put on a supply duct. And again, all the components will be outside of the ductwork. The only thing you're cutting in is to get the bulbs into the ductwork, and that's it. We keep everything outside of the ductwork, so we're not restricting airflow, impacting the pressure that you've already designed the system for. And again, all of these components we're dealing with reducing allergies, reducing airborne viruses, disinfecting the air. Again, this design here, we can also add on the PCO that we reviewed earlier residentially. So if we need an application where somebody wants to get a photocatalytic upgrade added on, we could do that on this model as well. And then the last piece here is that upper room that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Again, this was popular in Europe, but now we're making it more available here because people have concerns with these big wide open spaces. So again, this is not a very large device and there's no moving parts. It's simply 2 UV bulbs vertically mounted inside our metal casing, and then a layer of louvers, which helps direct the light across the top of the room. So you have to have at least a 7-foot high ceiling height to even apply an application like this. And then the box is actually designed, that unit can handle about 225 square feet. So if you're dealing with a large, wide open cafeteria, there might be multiples of these installed in the application, but they're going to be mounted up high, at least 7 feet or higher. And the whole point here is it's using the natural convective air of the room. So cold air is at the bottom of the room, hot air is at the top of the room. So it just naturally, the air is actually moving based on temperature anyway in a wide open space. And that's what this device takes advantage of. So the air will naturally convectively move through and actually pass through this device and get disinfected. So that's what an upper room application is. And again, this is actually listed in chapter 62 of the ASHRAE handbook. So that's all of the options available from the commercial side. And we can jump right to the end here and help answer some questions. So I know I covered a lot, Boris. Does that help catch you up?
Something, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let me actually stop recording. We're good.